Everybody. It's great to see so many of you. And let me start out by saying thank you for all that you do to educate our volunteer homeowner leaders, especially the board members. We know it's a big job. It's estimated that there's more than 2 million people in the country who serve in some volunteer capacity in their communities. And so it's a huge task to even think about communicating with them and trying to get them to join CAI and participate in courses and things like this. So we know that you're constantly doing that, and we appreciate it very much. The other thing that you know is that for probably more than 20 years, CAI and the chapters have had various programs to help educate homeowner board members. And these have had various names over the years, maybe the ABCs class, the Essentials class. We see some of these names referred to still in some marketing pieces or maybe in slides that a speaker might still have that they've liked for a long time. And in the last year and a half or so, we have had the opportunity to invest some time in updating the materials and reframing the course that CAI has offered into a certificate program. And Jake's going to go through some of the slides of that. We'll talk a little bit about some of these things, but another person I'd like to introduce, many of you have known Jake. I think his picture is sitting right here to the left on this screen, but Jake has been with CAI both at the chapter level and at the national level for 15 or 16 years. And another member of the team I'd like to introduce that you may not have had the chance to meet yet is Alden Michaels, who just joined our department like last October, and who immediately made a significant contribution to this board leader certificate program. He was able to jump right in, given his background in education and technology. And so we really appreciate all the work that he and Jake have put into this. So with that, I'll kind of turn it over to Jake to show us a few slides, and we welcome your questions and comments.
Thanks, Dave. And hello, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning into this today. We know we're all really busy. In some ways, it seems we're busier now, working a lot of us virtually than when we were actually in the office. So we appreciate your valuable time today. We just wanted to go over the changes, as Dave mentioned, with you. As you know, for the last 5 years or so, we've had the Board Leadership Development Workshop, and we've retooled that program to the CAI Board Leader Certificate. Okay, so as Dave mentioned, I mean, we've been you guys are on the front lines. We've been doing homeowner education for 30 years or more. I mean, probably right from when CAI first began, and it's a really important part of who we are and what we do. About 5 years ago, we retooled the program into the Board Leadership Development Workshop. And as we mentioned, now we are sort of relaunching this as a certificate program, the CAI Board Leader Certificate. So from now on, if you offer the course, we would truly appreciate you referring to it as the CAI Board Leader Certificate and discontinuing the terminology of the Board Leadership Development Workshop. So this program is essentially a blended learning course. It has both a live piece that when it's taught through the chapter network, and it also has an online piece through our learning management system, which I'll go into in a second. So let's continue. And also, of course, we also offer it as an online course through our website as well. So for someone to earn this certificate, this new certificate, there's just really a couple things that they have to do. They have to take the course, the CAI Board Leader Certificate course, and that course, again, could either be your program that you're offering at the chapter level or through if they take the online course, through the national office. So they have to complete that, and then the second step is really all they have to do is acknowledge that they've read and understand 3 key documents, the Model Code of Ethics for board members, the governance guidelines, and rights and responsibilities for better communities. And to do that, to acknowledge those, they need to be logged into our learning management system, to the online piece in our learning management system. And I'll go through with you in a second how they do that. Okay, and the course itself, it may look very familiar to you. It's essentially the same content as you found in the Board Leadership Development Workshop. It's the 5-module program, the same topics. So it's all these same programs. And the structure is the same as it was also. So we're not throwing a huge amount of changes at you here. We want you to be able to be comfortable offering the program the same way you've been offering it before. So you can do it all in, I know some of you do it all in one day, like on a Saturday or something. That's still possible, or you could break up those 5 modules into 5 different pieces if you want to spread it out like once a week, or however you want to do that. You have ultimate flexibility. Whatever works best for your chapter and your market. Okay, so here's what we do if you want to get started with the program. The first step is to order toolboxes from the CEI, from our office, for $39 each. And if we'll give you a copy of the order form. So all you have to do is fill out the order form and then just email that order form to CAI@caionline.org, and we will make sure that the kits are sent out to wherever you indicate on the form. And again, you're free to charge whatever you want for your program. Some of you may do it for free and then have a sponsor. That's totally fine. Or you might charge for your program. That's fine too. And then the other thing we wanted to point out, if you still have some of the old Board Leadership Development Workshop toolboxes, that's totally fine too. You can continue to use those up, and then when those are gone, you can go ahead and order the new ones. That's because the content, which I'll show you in a second, inside the boxes is exactly the same. So here's what you get inside the toolbox. You can see we've branded it the CAI Board Leader Certificate course, and we've updated the actual certificate that people get. It looks a lot nicer, and it has the new name of the course on it. But here's essentially what is inside the toolbox. The Board Member Toolkit book, Board Member Toolkit workbook, we have a Community Association Leadership book, Managing and Governing by Cliff Trees, the Homeowner and the Community Association brochure, Good to Great brochure, a copy of Common Ground magazine, and a handout packet that contains additional information that your students, your volunteers will need to use as they go through the course. So that's what's in the kit itself. Okay, so here's a piece of the program that's a little bit different than before. What we're asking you to do is, after the class is over, within 1 week of your class, you can email us the roster to, again, that same email address, caieducation@caionline.org. And we've created a template in Excel with certain fields like name, address, email, phone. You can email that to us within a week. Then we will go ahead and enroll your students in the online piece so that they can go ahead and acknowledge those 3 documents that I mentioned at the beginning and go ahead and earn their certificate. And this is a really important piece, because without that, they're not going to be able to actually earn the certificate. So any questions about that at this point? I know everybody's on mute, but anything in the chat? Okay.
Not seeing anything in the chat right now, Jake.
Okay, great. We'll keep moving forward then. Okay, so this is what happens when the student completes the course and acknowledges those 3 key documents that they've read and understand them. Their name will appear on the CAI website as having earned their CAI Board Leader Certificate. And here's just a screenshot. As I mentioned, we sort of did a soft launch of this program in January. So you can see here that we've already have close to 120 names that are on this list. And when you're logged into the website, you can see if the student wants to, the name of where they live, and it's kind of a nice, it shows that their community has done something great. So it's a nice honor for them. And if they want to, they could even put their photo, as Sally Paulson did there. So that's nice as well. Okay. Again, the same with the board leadership development workshop. Previously, we will make sure you get a PowerPoint slide deck for each of the modules and an introductory module, flyers and ads to market the program with the new program name on it. There are some video clips that are part of the program. We've updated the evaluation form. Again, we've updated the certificate, and also we have instructor guides for each that correspond to each of the PowerPoint decks. And here's like what a screenshot of what that looks like. And we'll send you this link after, but you can download all those materials anytime you want to just by clicking on that link, and then you'll have access to everything. Okay, and again, you can use whichever instructors that you're comfortable with. And that's totally your choice, your prerogative. And we just, you know, there is a lot of material, so we always ask that they have a little time to go through that ahead of time, just so they're familiar with the content where they teach. This is standard. I mean, everybody knows this today. To teach a course with PowerPoint slides, you need all of these pieces of equipment. Here's something else that's a little bit different. We recognize the fact that you may have had lots of people go through your course already in the past 5 years, the Board Leadership Development Workshop, and we wanted to give you an opportunity to have these people also sort of be grandfathered and earn the Board Leader Certificate as well. So if you're interested in doing that and helping your people be grandfathered into this new program, all we ask you to do is, again, with that Excel template, just go ahead and email us a list of your past attendees to Kelly, and we'll go ahead and register them for that online portion, so that they can, all they have to do is go in and acknowledge those 3 documents, and they will earn that certificate, and their name will appear on that list as well. And we just ask that you do that prior to January 31st, just so we can get everybody in there.
And this is Kelly, just to touch base about that too. We'll be sending you the email with the template, so that will be included in our follow-up conversation to you, and we'll actually want those lists by October. We'll have the due dates in there so that the attendees can go in by January 31st to complete that, and we'll help monitor that process and everything with that. But if you have any questions about that specifically, please feel free to just reach out to me directly for that.
Thanks, Kelly. Okay. So how can you help with this program? I mean, one of the most important thing is promoting it on your website so that anybody that's out there knows that CAI truly has a significant homeowner education program, and how can they access that program. If you don't have a date coming up specifically, you're always welcome to just link to the online course on our national website, but that would be great. And again, if you have the dates of your upcoming programs, we appreciate if you could send those on to us so that we can compile a list. And then the last 2 items are the things that we've talked about in this program already. Basically, just step 1 is ordering the toolboxes, and then step 2 is sending us your roster within 1 week of your holding the course. So that's really the program in a nutshell. Again, Dave kicked off the program. He introduced you to Alden, and of course I'm Jake. So if you guys have questions at any time, as Dave said, feel free to email us, call us, anything at all. But at this point, I think we'll open it up in case anybody has any questions right now.
Jake, I have a question. This is Kathy from the Heartland chapter. We're talking about taking this class and moving it to like a webinar and like breaking out the individual modules into separate like small webinars. Is that okay? We just kind of started talking about that.
Yeah, that's great. And I know a couple of other chapters, I believe, have done that as well. I think Tony Campisi's chapter, Pennsylvania, Delaware Valley, has done that successfully as well. Clearly, in the age that we're in today, we're all having to be creative on how we deliver education. So yeah, absolutely, we're willing to help you any way we can to help you be successful.
Great, thanks, Jake.
I have a question. So for chapter recertification, we're required to hold a course. Being that we're in this time of not really holding courses in person, how does that look for chapter recertification? I mean, our chapter at this point, we don't necessarily want to reinvent something that's already offered online, right? So it's kind of like, do we just refer people to the online version, and is that enough for our chapter to be recertified?
So we would prefer that you still hold a class if you didn't have an opportunity. I think it's super helpful for people locally to talk together to have similar issues. But of course, I do understand that may not be the highest priority, especially for some of you that have your larger events during this time and are having to really transition to something different. Reach out to one of the chapter team individually, and we'll work with you on some potential ideas on how to meet that requirement.
I have a quick question about how to promote this within the chapter. Is it possible to get a list of all the people who have taken the board leadership development workshop from the CAI system for our chapter? And I guess this follow-up question would be, is it possible when you list the people who actually get the certificate, could they be listed by chapter rather than just alphabetically?
In terms of the roster from each chapter, it's safe to say that if you haven't, I mean, the numbers so far of individuals who have gone through the e-learning version of it are pretty small. And so if you haven't done this program in the last 9 months, we don't have a roster from your chapter, because in most cases, we don't know in recent years who has gone through the chapter program. Another thing you can do is look on our website. On the CAI website, it lists every person who has gone through this program who's completed the certificate portion. So you can kind of see at a glance who's listed there. We're looking for better ways going forward to recognize these folks who want to be recognized, rather than just having their name listed. There could be other opportunities to give them and their communities and their boards some positive recognition for that accomplishment. But yeah, if you want to talk about your specific geographic area or your chapter, let's get on a phone call and we can show you what we're showing in terms of who from your area has taken it.
One of the nice features on the list on the website is there are search options, so you can easily sort things and search for different people. It's using a lot of the same technology that the CI Exchange board, you might be familiar with that our members find so valuable, asking questions. It's based on that platform, so we were able to take advantage of that same technology for that list.
This is Rachel. So I'm just making sure that I'm understanding correctly two things. One, this is not something that CAI has a webinar for online, or you do?
We do have an online course, yes.
Okay. Because going back to Bridget's question, I don't know how feasible it's going to be for a lot of us, because this is usually in person, and because homeowner leaders like the in-person, and they like, we're trying to get it to be a webinar, specific for California because things are a little weird here. But I don't know whether or not we're going to be able to feasibly do it this year, just because of how everything has been going on. So if we market yours and we market like, take the class, you get listed, would that be a qualifier for recertification?
I think the thing with the e-learning or our web format class that we have is a self-paced program. So it is different than some of the programs that a lot of you are putting on. That's the point that I was trying to get to with Bridget, is having that local interaction, I think, is important and helpful. Promoting it, I'd kind of like to do that on a case-by-case basis. I don't want to blanketly say that's okay for everybody, because I do think it is really important to have something locally. If you absolutely do not think that that's a possibility, like I said, reach out to one of us, and we'll, work with you and brainstorm, or, or talk with you about how we would want you to promote it and that sort of thing.
One of the things that, hi guys, this is Alden. One of the things that we're doing, it's coming up fairly soon, is a blended learning idea. So that way you can both use the online class as it is, but still have something where you have a live instructor where they can talk through. We're having that with our M100, which is our most popular course. A lot of people love taking the M100. It's very popular online, but there are some people that want to take it in person. They can't right now, and those people, if we sold out that class doing a blended learning version where because we're not going to be able to do a web that's going to teach us 5 days of 8-hour classes, but what we can do is give them an instructor to help them guide through the self-paced. So you guys could do that. It wouldn't take as much time on the instructor. You'd still get engagement. So something like that. I don't know as the certification, but that's an idea for an event.
I love that idea, and I think that would work really well for chapters, because then you don't have to find a facilitator to actually teach the course, but just be available for Q&A. I know I participated in a couple webinars like that, and then the instructor can just concentrate on answering questions instead of just teaching, because that part's already finished. So that might be a really good option. Jake, is that something that if chapters are interested, who can they reach out to see if they can set that up, or how would we do that?
Yeah, we're happy to work with them on, just feel free to reach out to me or Alden, and we can work out a way to make that happen.
Cool.
Even Jake and Alden, would it be possible for us to take the online course so we can see what it offers and how it's structured? I assume it's in the 5 modules. Yeah. And is there a test associated with it?
Yeah, absolutely. We're happy to, anytime any of you want to take a look at that, we're happy to enroll. You just shoot us an email, let us know. Yeah, it has the 5 modules in it. We've added some additional components. Alden did a great job and put together a nice piece that Kelly Richardson taught about the 10 things that board members need to know. It's really well done, and we're looking to add more pieces like that as well from other experts on different member types. So we're going to continually enhance that as well. It's some good content in there.
Hey Cal, in terms of the exam, there's not a big final pass-fail type of exam, where they're going to get a score that they got 70% or something like that. But there are some knowledge checks along the way that are more like quizzes periodically throughout to kind of make sure they get the concept and they're there and they're interacting with the program. A couple of homeowners that we have talked to sometimes confuse the term certification with certificate program. And so you may encounter a few folks who wonder about that. And of course, this is deliberately designed as a certificate based on an education experience, and the certificate shows that they successfully completed that learning event. It's not a certification. There's no letters behind their name. There's no designation, which are typically the letters that might come after a name like a PCAM. So they don't have to renew this. They don't have to go take another class every 3 years, or they'll lose this. This is a class, a learning experience we originally designed as a live component and an online component that they complete, then they get some recognition for that.
I have a couple of concerns about this just for California, because we already have to really reinvent this, and I've begged the other California EDs for their information on this, and my only issue with this class is that it's required for recertification. And if it's required for my chapter recertification, then I would really like to have a California specific version, because my people get really confused. So, and then I'm all about working with you and trying to make this happen this year, but like if I have to redo it for a California specific version as a webinar, like I'm over here, I'm about to cry right now. So like I don't know what to do.
Hey, Rachel,
Hey,
this,
go ahead, Dave.
I think we can make you feel a lot better because first of all, we're all ready to cry as well.
Okay,
But
cool.
so we're in the same boat. But the other thing is that what we've seen so far from other chapters is that tailoring it to your state is really not as hard as it might sound. There's space built into the materials for each instructor to add their own slides if they want to, add their own handouts, comment, you know, as much as they want. They can either comment throughout the hour, for example, or they could save up to the end in the last 15 minutes. So each instructor so far that we've worked with hasn't had a problem localizing it to their state or their city. It's not like they have to write new modules or come up with new slides. If they want to do some of that, they can, but they don't have to. Most of them can do it right as they're going through. Say, here's this, and here's how it applies to us. Also, we're not real sticklers for how long these modules are taught. If it says an hour and a half, we're not checking up on you. I mean, sometimes an instructor can get through that content and localize it in less time than that. So we kind of, the way we designed it was, for example, a module might say, this can go an hour and a half, but it can also go a lot faster depending on the group and the instructor and how much they're covering. And also in terms of turning this into a webinar, I mean, one thing that this crisis has given us is an opportunity to try some new things. So for example, if you as a chapter leader wanted to create your own cohort group of, let's say, 10 or 20 learners, you could get these kits from Jake, have them shipped to each one of those 10 or 20 students, and then you could put something in your calendar, let's say 3 months from now, and say, look, we're going to convene on Zoom for 30 minutes to kick off this course. Then you learners are going to go take it online, take up to 2 weeks or 1 week or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever. Then we're going to reconvene to kind of wrap it up at the end. And you don't have to have an instructor there. You don't have to have anybody. You're just kind of kicking them off. Or you could do it at the end of the process, or both, and say, okay, now we're convening, now that everybody's done. We're going to talk for 20 minutes about how this applies to California. Everybody passed, and we'll give them their certificate electronically, and they'll be listed on the website as recognition that they completed it. So there's more than one way to approach this, but we think that if you want to talk it through in more detail, we'd be happy to talk with you. If you want to set up another call or go into more depth, but we really don't want it to be burdensome.
Yeah, can I add a couple of things to that? Thanks, Dave. Some good ideas there. Rachel, as far as California specific, I know last fall, the California CEDs had talked about gathering the content specific to California, and I'll do outreach to all the California CEDs because I know somebody already has an addendum to that. And so, you know, that's something that we can just, you know, you all can just add on to that program. The other piece of that is the requirement for recertification is it's very important to the organization and the board of trustees that chapters are providing homeowner education. That's why that requirement is there, because the localized education we feel is incredibly important for awareness and understanding of the issue. So the program, like Dave said, is also designed to add in those local anecdotal things as well.
So if we were to add a piece to it and offer that virtually through Zoom, not necessarily, because I have a problem with trying to teach this program through Zoom when in all reality, people should be encouraged to do this on their own time. Things have changed since last year, right? So we want people to do this course through the national office on their own time. But if we were to encourage them to do that and then say, okay, sign up for the course and then you can join the chapter through Zoom for a Q&A and ask questions that are regionally based, then that would suffice to meet chapter recertification?
Yes, I would be totally comfortable with that. If you were promoting it on your website, having, either some kind of kickoff, either as a video or, written kickoff and then Q&A, I think that would be appropriate. Dave and Jake, does that suit your needs? Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, as far as we're concerned, whatever your department is, the chapter department needs to figure out with the chapters is fine with us. There's a lot of ways to approach this as an education thing. So from our perspective, if people can take it on their own, that would satisfy us. I mean, just letting them know that it exists and they can go take it is fine with us.
So that takes so much off of my worry, because it is, things have changed so much that I think that helps considerably, that all we would really be required to do as a chapter is say, okay, we're promoting this actively. We encourage people to take the program, and we will have a 1.5 hour Q&A after you've taken the course. That's awesome. Oh my God.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Bridget.
Yeah, we don't want to make it harder for you. That's why this is also important, these kind of calls, so we can brainstorm about better ways to do it. So I'm glad that suffices for your chapter, Bridget.
So this is Kate. Hi, guys.
Kate.
I've been listening. We are, for Tucson, because we're so scattered down there and we have a lot of homeowners that don't want to drive, but they want the interaction. We're breaking them up into modules, just kind of like what Jake was talking about earlier. But we're using attorneys to do the local stuff, because there's certain sections that that prompt more legal questions than other time. And it is, and like you said, it's generic, and it, like Rachel said, state specific. There's a few things in there that trip up Arizona every time. So I usually have the speakers, and usually an annual sponsor that's an attorney, go top to bottom, so they get first dibs. And they talk about that, and I highlight that will be a question and will prompt a discussion for local legislation or rules or whatever they have. So that's always seemed to work and stuff like that. I've just done it that way, and everybody seems happy. And that way you're covering the stuff that you need to cover locally that's legislatively specific to your organization. And your state, so we don't get in trouble. So that seems to work, and everybody seems happy. And by doing the different modules, you're not keeping them all day. And we want the interaction. We don't want them, no offense to going to national, but the idea is if we're going to have to do this to be renewed, we want the interaction. We want to be engaged with the folks. We're going to do it Zoom, because to put people together and have them drive a half an hour, 45 minutes for a class, it's not happening, heaven forbid. They drive somewhere. So we were going to do it online no matter what anyway, just to make sure we offered something this year. So that's one way to get around it, so that the homeowners get to it, because a lot of them that are elderly don't like to drive.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tracy. Actually, I'm upside down. There we go. So I just wanted to mention I'm from Washington State chapter, and I just want to report back. We did a successful 4-part series for the BLDW in June. Thank you, Jake. He was amazing in helping us getting those information shipped to all the attendees, and we also have 15 people on a wait list for our next BLDW. So we did it in a two hours every week. And we had an instructor that was teaching it in person in the past, and it was different. It was a little bit of a change because you're doing it virtual through Zoom. But I want to happily report that the homeowners loved it. We basically doubled our attendance because it was, they didn't have to drive anywhere, and they could break it up over 2 hours for each week. So I think it was a success. And what it also helped us do is for future instructors, they could sit and monitor, and then we have 2 that will be teaching it in the fall. So we've kind of created more presenters going down the road. So I just wanted to just put a shout out to our chapter and how we pivoted the BLDW, and I love this. Thank you for letting us know about delivering the certificates for the homeowners. I think that's a great advantage. So thank you all.
Thanks, Tracy.
Hey, Jake, I got a question for you. In that scenario, was it a challenge to ship to everybody's home address versus the work address that sometimes we have?
Yeah,
in the
it's definitely a shift. I mean, as you think about it, when we set up this program last year, we had no idea that, I mean, it was basically, we had two options. We would teach it in the classroom or teach it online. And now there's this potential third option of teaching it virtually. It's like a whole new world for all of us. So we're kind of learning as we go. But yeah, that is something that we can do. I mean, in the past, we would send them all to your chapter office or wherever you wanted them to go. But now, I mean, if you want, like we did with Tracy, we can send them to individual people's homes.
Use annual sponsors to deliver them and get some FaceTime.
That's great. Yeah, that's a great idea too.
Saves us from driving around. I mean,
that's
God,
an
that's a lot of
awesome
state.
idea. What a great sponsorship.
Yeah.
If you're in an area where it's not, you know, too cumbersome.
I'm not driving 5 hours to drop off a book. I'm sorry.
No, but I bet some of the business partners would.
They're
in
there.
some
They
areas.
can do it for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Is that board leadership kit offered digitally at all, or is it only physical?
There's elements of it that are electronic. For example, every new member of CAI gets an electronic version of that book, right? And then if they request the hard copy, my understanding is they can get that. But the elements that go into that kit, it's that little plastic box that you've seen. One time when we first put that together, we added up the retail cost of all that stuff, and it was about $100, you know, if you were to go out and buy different pieces of it. But, you know,
what would you charge, Dave, for us to buy it off of you and have it digitally?
Well, Tom got the price. Tom agreed to the box price of $39 per user, which we're happy to see him be kind of generous with that. As you know, there is a big effort at CAI to ramp up our ebook platform, which is a new thing that we're very excited about. Dan Brannigan and others are leading that. From my perspective, I'd love to see this kit be part of an ebook package that could make delivery.
I would like to buy it. I mean, I asked
Yeah.
Jake that a while ago, huh, Jake? What would you charge me to buy it so that we had it? And Jake was like, well,
Well, I think that was, Kate, I think that was probably before the ebook platform was launched. But Dave,
yeah, it was like a few months ago.
Yeah, that might have just been around the initial launch. But Dave, is that something we can explore with Dan and Amy? Because, you know, now, I mean, I love the idea, Kate's idea of having business partners drive them out around and drop them off, but that's not always practical. So maybe if we offered it in that format, and then it could also be, you know, I don't know what the cost is in that, but maybe that we can relook at the cost if it's offered in that way, and then still drop ship to people that actually want the hard books.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. As you all know, there's with an ebook platform, there's a lot more capability than just us emailing a PDF file of all this stuff to people. I mean, we could probably send a PDF file of 15 different items to this brochure and that book and this booklet and this slide deck. We could email PDFs of that, but then it's not secure, and it's got some other really potential downsides. But with an ebook platform, it can be delivered inside of a mobile app that is secure, and that also gives your chapter and CAI some metrics about who's opening what and how long they're spending with this content. What are they doing with it? What are they most interested in? What's something that maybe doesn't get opened? And some information about how things are used and what's valuable.
Well, and I don't even have a problem, to be honest with you, paying the $30 or whatever we are charged for books, if it is even an ebook, to get more people involved as versus, I mean, driving around, it's nice, but like Crystal said, I'm going to have so many people willing to do that, especially when it's 115 out. You know, I mean, we don't have to worry about snow in the wintertime, but unless we're up north, but I think the volume would increase. And, you know, it's still something I'm willing to pay back to the chapter. I don't care if it's a hard copy or an e-copy. Yeah. It's just, I would like the options, because I usually order in bulk and have a whole bunch stored up because you never know when I might need them. But I think it's an idea. And I mean, You know, it's just something I don't want to be like, just give it to me for free. You know, even though in these times it'd be nice more things were free, but that doesn't work in this world. So anything we can do to give multiple options, I think would be better.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you so much, because when I was first on this call, I was like, I'm gonna die this year. This is the year that I die. But now I'm feeling a lot better about it, and I have a game plan. Now I just want to make sure I'm not gonna get in trouble. So if I offer these as Zoom courses and I record them, and then I offer it as a Zoom webinar next year with the pre-recorded, that's fine. 2 different people, but they get to chat in the chat live, but it's playing a pre-recorded webinar.
From just delivering the education standpoint, I think that makes sense. That next cohort next year would need their own kits, and you know,
Yeah.
they'd need their own little box, and they'd need to log in and go through the stuff as individuals. But the horse is out of the corral, in my opinion, in terms of experimenting with Zoom and recording things, and so I would, from the education department point of view, I'd say go ahead and try it. You know, see how it goes, and you'll learn things. Your participants will learn some things. We will too, from watching how it goes for you. So, but I don't know about the, you know, from the chapter recertification standpoint, they may want to think about it or.
No,
comment.
I'm totally good with that too, Dave. I was deferring to you guys because I was like, I'm cool, but I want to make sure they're cool. So
I'm cool.
We're all cool.
I mean, it would be a separate class. It would be marketed as a separate, but it would just be like, because teaching new instructors how to do this is like,
it's hard. Totally.
Oh, absolutely, it really is.
Yeah, but one point I want to reinforce is, you know, having the materials for them, and for them to complete their certificate program. Again, we'll need a list of the attendees, because that's how they get access to those final pieces. So, you know, keep that in mind as well, because having the course is great, but, you know, our homeowners like to have that recognition where they can say, you know, I passed the certificate program. So, you know, make sure you get all of those pieces in place too.
And Rachel, that's what we're planning on doing. But we're planning on having like a Q&A session at some point for those people after they watch the different modules next year. That was kind of where our thought process was.
It'll be interesting too to see how our speakers at the chapter level and national level react to this and adjust. I mean, we've seen some come to the table with, say, 15 slides that they've made that localizes the content for their state. And some of them understand this new digital world we live in, and that when they do a program like this, those 15 slides, if we're recording them, they're basically part of our program now, so to speak. You know, and some of them understand that, and some want to say, well, that these are mine, so you can't record this, or they may have some thoughts on that. So let's keep in touch with each other as we talk to speakers and help them get ready for these things. So they're clear and we're clear about how much everybody's bringing to the table, and are they okay with recording this and showing it next year, and those kinds of things.
When you send us your list after you have the live class within a week, what's basically is going to happen is we're going to physically register each of those individuals, and they will get an automated generated confirmation email with instructions on how to log in and come to our website and launch the program. And so I don't know, that might be a new experience for some of them. That might be the first time they're coming to CI's national website and logging in. It should be a learning experience for all of us as we move forward.
And it gets added to their online transcript, right? So
right.
If they log in later, they'll say, okay, I attended the national conference, and this, you know, whatever's in the database that they've done, and this certificate program.
Yes,
will be listed there. So they could get their certificate 2 years from now or something, or they could call the customer service number 3 years from now and said, hey, I lost my certificate, and we can help them get a new one.
If you have any questions, please contact a member of the chapter relations team or email chapterlearning@caionline.org.